Rams house. We have got two big extensions to discuss this morning on the show. One that came in last night for Tyler Higbee and one that came in this morning for Kam Curl. We're going to break them both down. But first, before we do, make sure you are subscribed, guys. If you're not already locked in on this channel, we cover Rams news every single time it comes up, and I can feel it. It's been happening over the last 24 hours. Something big is on the horizon. The Rams are absolutely not done yet, and you don't want to miss it when it comes. I don't know what it's going to be. Could be a Max Crosby trade. Could be a Puka Nacua extension. Could be the Stafford extension, Warren McClendon deal. There's a lot that could potentially come. I don't know exactly when, but you don't want to miss it. So lock in with us here on the Rams Report by Chad Sports because we cover everything. And let's go ahead and start covering Kam Curl's new extension. So the Rams lock up the safety, formerly of the Washington Commanders, and obviously before that of the Arkansas Razorbacks, on a 3-year, $36 million deal worth up to $39 million, which will obviously set him at an average annual of $12 million, unless he gets up to the 39, and then that math gets a little too hard for my brain without a calculator. But this is interesting, right? You know, I was expecting that the Rams would keep Kam Curl. I thought he played well enough this season to stay around in Los Angeles. But when I had talked about it on this channel before, when we had brought up Kam Curl, when we had talked about the possibility of getting a deal done with him, I'd always caveated it with, for the right money. Don't overpay here. And I think the Rams overpaid here, to be completely honest with you. Is that the end of the world? No, it's not. It's okay. We're a cap-flexible team right now. We have to get to that $50 million in spend in 2026, so you got to use some money. I think there maybe were better uses of your money, but throwing a little extra at Kam Curl is not going to kill you, but it absolutely... I don't think you can argue the fact that the Rams overpaid a little bit here. I was projecting maybe a 2-year, 1 year, maybe $8.5 million extension. I know it would have been hard to probably get Kam Curl to take a 1-year deal after playing on a 1-year deal. I would definitely understand him wanting at least a 2-year extension that offered him some significant and guaranteed money, because he did play really well this season at times. But I think that's the biggest part. When you talk about Kam Curl playing well, you always have to caveat with at times or in certain games. He had big moments. It was not a consistent season of great play. You saw definitely bad moments scattered throughout the year, and obviously every player has bad moments, but with Kam Curl, it just feels like they pop up pretty regularly to be handing him this much. And again, this is something we'll talk about when we talk about Higbee a little bit later as well, but in less, I guess, importance. It's hard to judge a contract before you have the guaranteed money, and we don't have guaranteed money on either of these deals yet. We don't know exactly how much has been guaranteed to these guys, and at the end of the day, a lot of people will tell you that's the only thing that matters, and to some degree, that's definitely true. How much is absolutely 1,000% going to get to these guys at some point, no matter what? We don't know yet. You know what I mean? Like, Kam Curl's deal could be a maximum of $39 and $8 million guaranteed, in which case we'll reevaluate and we'll rediscuss these things when those come out. But you look at other top safety contracts, because this pays him to be a top 15 safety in the NFL in that range. None of those guys are getting low guaranteed money. The guys in his range are getting 2/3 of their contract guaranteed. So it would be difficult for the Rams to argue with Kam Curl, if you're going to pay him at that much, to not have significant guarantees on that contract as well. So I would expect at least $20 million of this potential 36 to 39 is likely guaranteed for Kam Curl as well. And again, he is a solid piece at safety, but is he a top 15 safety in the NFL? Can you say that he is that consistently? He has moments where he plays like that. He played like that against Chicago. I think you could say he played like a top 5 safety for that game against the Chicago Bears. He was unbelievable. That interception against DJ Moore was great, but he was all over the field in that one. Led the team in tackles, led the team in pass breakups. It was a beautiful game from him. But that version of Kam Curl only shows up 1-2 times a year. If we get that guy more often, then this deal looks beautiful. This deal looks genius. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's not a possibility where this deal works out really well for you. But as of right now, based off of what we've seen from Kam Curl, it does feel like you overpaid a little bit. But it does also take a need off the board going into the draft. I don't think safety is a necessary draft target anymore. I'm not saying you can't. If Caleb Downs falls into your lap at 13, you're drafting Caleb Downs. But I don't think and you'll just reassess the roster at that point. Like that player is so good, you have to add him. Like I'm not saying Caleb Downs is not coming to the Rams if he's there at 13. Like that, I think you'd still make that decision. But I don't think the Rams want to add at safety in free agency, and I don't think it's a down the board need anymore. Maybe you add somebody on the late rounds just for depth purposes, but I don't think they want to add significantly to that room. I do think this takes names like Emmanuel Warren off the list of Rams draft targets. Let's transition to Tyler Higbee. Before we do, I do want to remind you guys, our Heart Snatcher shirts are available for sale at chatsports.com/Heart Snatcher. If you haven't checked them out already, I think they look absolutely fantastic. Our design team did a wonderful job with them. Shout out to Arnold. So go check them out at the link. I'll have that pinned on the comments, in the comment section down below. Let's get into Higbee though. 2-year deal, $8 million total, $4 million in average annual value. Once again, we do not know the guarantees on this contract, just like Kam Curl's. But again, unlike with Kam Curl's deal, I don't think this changes draft strategy nearly as much as a lot of people that I've seen react to this immediately will tell you it does. I'm not calling anybody out here. It's just a lot of Twitter reactions of like, oh my gosh, is Kenyon Sadiq off the board? A lot of people in my comments wondering if Kenyon Sadiq was off the board when we covered this on our shorts last night. Another reason to subscribe, because we had a short out last night. I told myself we're going to make a long-form video tomorrow. I was thinking, you know what? I think we're going to get another piece of news that I can tandem together here, and here we go. Kam Curl extension is what it was. But Tyler Higbee returning, I think, represents more of a desire to keep a vet in the room, someone that Sean McVay knows and has a ton of respect for, has worked with throughout his career, and have him be able to develop young guys in that room. I'm talking about Terrance Ferguson, and I am talking about a potential draft addition. That doesn't have to be on day one, doesn't have to be Kenyon Sadiq. If he's there for the Rams, I think they're going to think long and hard about taking him. But I don't think extending Tyler Higbee on a 2-year, $8 million contract necessarily means tight end is not something the Rams want to continue to add at. And I know that sounds strange, especially with the conversation we just had about Kam Curl, but I think you have to understand the Rams' philosophy at the tight end position over the last couple of seasons, especially promoting Nate Scheelhaase to offensive coordinator with Rigoni alongside with him. I think you're going to lean even more heavily into those 13 personnel sets. I think that's going to be a big philosophy point for McVay, for Scheelhaase, and obviously for Cliff Kingsbury as well as assistant head coach. He'll have a role in that as well. I think the 13 personnel isn't going anywhere. I think the Rams want depth in the tight end room, want a guy who can mentor the young guys that they bring in, whether that's Terrance Ferguson, who obviously they drafted last year, if that's Kenyon Sadiq, if they're going to draft him this year, if that's somebody later down the line on day 2, like Eli Stowers. You know, there's other names that you could draft in this tight end class. I do think it has some depth to it. I don't think the Rams are done yet. I think the Rams highly value this position, significantly more so than other teams do. I think it's a room they're comfortable adding bodies to, comfortable having a large investment into, even with Colby Parkinson still there. I don't know what the future of Colby Parkinson is on this team if they continue to add high-value young guys like Kenyon Sadiq to Terrance Ferguson. I think your idea at that point would be to eventually have it be Sadiq and Ferguson as your 1-2 and move on from Colby Parkinson and let those guys, the young guys, kind of run the room after that point and then maybe add more depth behind them. I think if anybody is the odd man out at this point, it's the name that I haven't said. It's Davis Allen. I think Davis Allen does kind of feel like the odd man out in this tight end room if you're going to continue adding. If you're not, then sure, whatever. Just kind of run the room back from last year and hope that Terrance Ferguson takes that step that Sean McVay kind of hinted at when he was talking about him in a press conference pretty recently about the role that he hopes Terrance Ferguson will have next season, about what he envisions for him, and speaking glowingly of him. So again, like I've seen a lot of concern about, does this take Sadiq off the board? No. But does this also mean that Terrance Ferguson's development isn't where the team wants it to be? I don't necessarily think that's the case at all. You know what I mean? Like, I think Tyler Higbee is only 33 years old. He highly considered retiring this season, but when he was available last season, he continued to be effective. He's still a very good player when he is fully healthy. This is a bang for your buck contract at $4 million a year. This barely affects your cap. That is pocket change for an NFL team at the end of the day with the current cap numbers. So keeping Higbee around, even if it's to be a contributor early on in the year while you develop young guys, while Terrance Ferguson gets ready to take that next step, Colby Parkinson still is your tight end one. And then, I think the other equation with Higbee is the injury issues. His issues to stay healthy make him tough to rely on. There's a lot that tells me this is not Higbee coming back to be the man in the tight end room this season. This is Higbee coming back to guide the transition in the tight end room. That is truly what I feel. I don't know at the end of the day, though. I'm not 100% confident that this is the case. I'm not in the room with Les Snead and Sean McVay making decisions. So if it plays out differently, don't hold my feet to the fire on it. But that is exactly what I think is occurring with bringing back Tyler Higbee. Keeping a veteran mentor in the room to develop young guys, whether it's the young guys you already have in Davis Allen and Terrance Ferguson, or the young guys you're going to continue to add with Terrance Ferguson and Kenyon Sadiq. But let me know, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Kam Curl extension. I want you to type Curl and then give me a grade for that one, A, B, C, D, or F, and then give me a grade for the Tyler Higbee extension too. I want you to grade both of these deals, but make it clear for me. Give me like a C and H, or a Curl and a Higbee, so I know which one you're grading. But thank you guys for hanging out on this episode of the Rams Report by Chat Sports. As always, we appreciate your time. And as always, let's go Rams. I'll see you guys in the next one.